Welcome, guys. This is a demo on my MFG, how to use it for quote and enroll. You've got Bill Rice and Shelly Medford, and we're going to be your host today. We're going to walk you through how easy it is to use my MFG to do all of your enrolling and quoting for MedAdvantage. What you see in front of you is the my MFG login page. If we have set you up to use my MFG, you would have been provided with this URL, and we would have given you a username and password. So if you don't have one, simply call into the office and we'll be glad to set you up so that you can start using my MFG for a grand total cost of $0. This is something we provide free to our agent distribution, but you would enter your username and password and simply click login, and we're going to use Shelly's demo account today just as an example. So you log in, this is your dashboard page. And this, guys, as you start using it, will track your sales. So if you sell something to the system, all of your sales will be tracked here. And today we're simply going to focus on MedAdvantage, and we're going to show you how to quote and enroll clients. So we're going to click on clients, and we're going to add a new client. So there's only a little bit of information that's required. So obviously our first and last name, we're going to go with Nicholas Adams. We have to enter the gender, and so we're going to go with male. We have to enter a date of birth, which is going to be May 24th, 1949. You guys get it? You got to have a date of birth to do a quote, so that's why it's required, 1949. We're going to enter in the phone number, which is 980. We're going to just do 123-4567, okay? You obviously can enter other information there if you choose to. We're going to scroll down and enter the address of the client, and we're going to use 711 Maple Street. And for the zip code, we're going to use 28270. You'll notice that once you enter that, it's going to pre-populate for you the city, state, and county. And if there was multiple counties to choose from, you could simply click on it. If that zip code straddled, two counties, then you would choose the county that it applies to, okay? So that's all required information. So we're simply going to click save, guys. And we're going to click OK. And I'm going to show you how easy it is to go back and edit the information. So, sorry, we've entered several quotes. So we're simply going to just change it so we can save one. There you go. So we've saved this particular client for you. Information's in there. To edit it, we're simply going to click on the edit button, and we're going to go in, we're going to enter the other information we need. So we would need to enter a Medicare number because we're going to do a MA enrollment. So the Medicare number we're going to choose, so she's going to start with the effective date, and we're going to choose June 1st, 2014 for Part A and B. You guys do this all the time, so you know you got to have that information for enrolling them in MedAdvantage. And that likely is going to coordinate to when they turn 65, but may not if they stayed on group plan for a bit. So the next thing we got to enter is that Medicare number. So we're going to enter in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and A. Okay. So we're going to scroll down once we've entered that, and that's other information you can enter, but nothing's required. So we're simply going to scroll down. We'll have other demos that talk about everything else, but we're going to scroll to the bottom because we want to enter in the pharmacy information. So there you can see select preferred pharmacies. This is extremely relevant, guys, because this software is going to base the price on the pharmacy you choose. For those of you that have sold MedAdvantage in the past, you know the cost of the drugs can vary wildly depending on the carrier's preferred pharmacy or not. So it's very relevant you choose the pharmacy. If they say, Bill, I go to Walmart, then if you click on select preferred pharmacies, it's going to show all the pharmacies in their zip code. Most people use a pharmacy around their house, right? So it's right there for you. So in this case, we're going to choose Walmart as our preferred pharmacy, and we're going to choose Walgreens as our secondary, okay? We're going to save that information at the bottom. And when we go to quote, guys, it's actually going to drive the cost of the quote based upon filling their prescriptions at that pharmacy. Now we're going to go in and we're going to tell what prescriptions this particular client actually takes. So we're going to use a couple examples, and the first one is going to be lisinopril. So we type in LIS, and then you can see a bunch of drugs pop up for us. So we don't have to spell it all out, the dosage. So we're going to go with 5 milligrams. We're going to choose a 30 quantity, which is monthly, and refill frequency is going to be monthly, okay? So we're going to click save, and we're going to fill out that second drug, which is going to be fluoxetine, so FLUO, and there it is. So we choose that, the generic, and we are going to go with the 10 milligram, and we're going to choose a 30 count. and monthly again, and we're going to click save. So now we have saved in our system this client's pharmacy that they go to and the drugs they take. So next year, guys, you don't have to remember all of that. You can verify it with the client, but you don't have to remember all of that information. So we have now entered all of that information. We've saved it, and you can see right here at the bottom, we're going to click save again. So everything has been updated, and we're going to click on get a quote. So we come up to what do we want to quote? My MFG will quote all the products you see there, but we're simply going to choose MAPD for the purpose of this demo. It grays everything else out since, through CMS regulations, you're not supposed to be talking about those. We don't want to inadvertently cause you a violation, so you simply can't quote them. We're going to go down to the bottom, and we're going to click I don't know. If you've done Medicare.gov, you're familiar with quoting LIS. In this example, we're doing an AEP quote. So we're going to click on Get Quotes. It takes it just a few seconds for it to update. It's pulling all of the carriers that are available in that particular zip code for you. And boom, just like that, it pops up. You can see the logos and all of the different carriers that are there. You will notice it sorts it by estimated annual cost, and that estimated annual cost is based upon the pharmacy you chose and the drugs they're taking. So all the zero premium plans now no longer look the same. In fact, look at United Healthcare at the top with the $28 premium is actually coming in cheaper than Aetna's zero premium in this particular example, even another United zero premium, because it's tagging into some prescription costs and some estimated medical costs as well, but wanted you to see that that sorts that way. To the right, you'll notice there are enroll buttons and CI enroll buttons. The enroll button will be green if you are permissioned to sell it. So you have to be ready to sell. We're checking the carrier roster. If it's grayed out, then we don't show that you're ready to sell. If you think you are, call the office and we'll research it for you and get you set up if we made a mistake. But that's to protect you from inadvertently selling something you're not ready to sell. That'll catch you in other states as well. You may be ready to sell in North Carolina, but not South Carolina. If you enter a South Carolina client, it'd be grayed out. So in our example here, we're going to scroll down and we're going to choose a Humana plan. Shelly's going to click on enroll so we can demo for you how easy this is to enroll. First thing it's going to ask is, do you have a scope? If you say no, you're going to have to go through the process here and complete the scope. WellCare is the only carrier that requires you to use our system to actually get the scope. The other carriers, you could have done a paper scope. I'm going to encourage you to always use our system to do a scope because it's going to store it in here for you electronically. If you need it 6 months from now, a year, 5 years from now, it's going to be inside of the system for you. And you're also going to have documented proof that you have it. So Shelly's going to go ahead and click and say, yes, we need to do a scope. And it's going to walk us through. This is the CMS generic scope, guys. So you've filled these out 100 times. So she's just going to click through it real quick. We're going to use it for Medicare. She's going to type in the things that are required there real quick. So it's pre-populated with your name, the client's address. You don't have to do anything there. You're going to type in the plan that you're selling and the effective date. You know you chose Humana, so she's simply going to type in Humana and today's date. We're going to get to the bottom and click save. And she's going to walk you through the process to use DocuSign to complete that. So Shelly, go right ahead.
Thank you, Bill. So once you click this button to complete the scope of appointment, it's going to ask you to log into your DocuSign account. If you haven't created your DocuSign account at this point, you should have received an email directly from DocuSign. The email looks like this. It will come to your inbox, and you click the activate button in order to activate this account. Once it's activated, what it will ask you to do is, and I'm going to show you, create a password. Once you've created that password, it'll ask you for your information for a security question. Once you've done that, it'll ask you to create your signature. Now you can create this multiple ways. You can create it via drawing it. If you use a tablet to do your enrollments, that's probably a good way to do it. You can upload a signature that you've handwritten, or you can use one of the signatures that is included in the system. Once you've done that, MyMFG is requesting permission to create and sign things. You want to always accept this. This will give you the ability to create the DocuSign for the scope of appointment. As this loads, The scope of appointment will populate here. It will ask you to review the document. As Bill mentioned, you've seen this scope a million times before. It will have you sign. Once you click to finish, it will ask you to pass control to your client. Obviously, our enrollments are face-to-face, belly-to-belly, as Bill likes to say. So we're going to pass the control to your client. Once you do this, it's going to ask the client if they're comfortable accepting this. They have to initial the places where we have decided to discuss plan types. It will give them the option for their signature, which they will adopt and initial, and they will click in the buttons to sign appropriately. Then you click finish. You can email a copy of this to the beneficiary. The system will automatically send a copy to you as the agent and send a copy to the client if you deem necessary. It will indicate you've completed the DocuSign SOA flow. You can close this browser tab and it will take you directly to the enrollment. Back to you, Bill.
Thank you, Shelley. So guys, you can see how easy that is, but there's a real reason for using DocuSign, and that's to protect yourself. If the client 6 months from now, a year from now, says that they didn't discuss this with you, you have DocuSign's credibility and reputation standing behind you to say that they did. So totally free, doesn't cost you anything, but we're using DocuSign to validate the consumer signature. So you're signing it, you're simply turning your laptop to them and letting them click those 2 yellow boxes and you're done. But once you're done with that, you're back on the actual enrollment application, and we're going to walk you through how quick this is. So most of this information is going to be on here automatically because it was in the client profile. So the consumer's name, address, Medicare number, all of that is pre-populated for you. So we're simply going to choose the coverage start date. Since we're doing an AP, is likely going to be January 1, 2019. We're doing an AP application, so we click on that. And then we just start scrolling down to see what other information is there. If the mailing address is the same as a regular address, you click that and it pre-populates for you. If you wanted to put their email address in here, you could, but you don't have to. And then the primary care physician's name, you would simply type that inside of the application. And you can see you don't have to enter their ID number. And then you're going to click Save and Continue. We're not doing an SEP, so you're going to skip over all of the SEP stuff. However, once you get into the SEPs, you would fill that out. Some medical questions that are on there, you're going to answer these like you've done many times before. Shelley's simply going to click no on all of them as we scroll through it, and click Save and Continue. So now we're on to the last page. It's showing you the plan that you chose, just to make sure. It's showing you the premium on it, so you can go over that with the client. And then a big deal on using electronic enrollment versus paper is Humana apps always ask for the contract, PBP, and segment, which you had to look up. Many applications were pinned and sent back because the agent either didn't look it up or entered it wrong. This is pulling off for you automatically, so you don't have to do anything other than hit Save and Continue. Boom, now you're onto the payment section. Most all of our clients choose to have it taken from their Social Security. However, the other options are there if you need it. We're going to click Social Security, Save and Continue. This is the disclosures you're required to read, which you all have read many times. You have to read this to the client, get to the bottom of it, and click Save and Continue. Now you're on the signature of the applicant. They only need to type their name in here. That's it. This is directly to the carrier, so they would type their name, accepting that. You scroll to the bottom. Your information is already there, so you can see Shelley's name, writing number, date of birth are already there. The other information is totally up to you if you want to put something in there for tracking purposes, but not necessary. If she clicks submit, we are now submitting that directly to the carrier. It takes a few seconds. Boom, you got your confirmation enrollment number back, and you have successfully enrolled somebody in an MAPD with Humana when you see that number. You can choose to hit the print button or the email, so you can print the application if you wanted to print a copy of it in PDF. You could email it to the client. You could email it to yourself. You don't need to do that because you have access to the system, and you can always come into the system and print and email it. But we click on the client, and Shelley's going to show you how when we go back to the client, if we scroll to the bottom, there is the enrollment that you just did. So when you enroll this client next year, the year after, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, every enrollment you ever did, if you use my MFG, will be there. You'll never have to remember it. You'll always have access to the applications that you provided and of course the data that's on there so you can look like a professional for your client. If you go back to the dashboard, Shelly's going to click on that. We had 2 enrollments when we started. Sorry. And now we have 3 because we just completed it. So you see your year-to-date sales are 3. So your dashboard will start tracking all of your enrollments. And that is how simple and easy it is to use My MFG to quote and enroll. We hope you guys have a wonderful, successful season, and we're here for you if you need us. Just call in anytime. Thanks and have a great day.